TonniLea, and I am so glad today I am welcoming my friend M. Curtis McCoy. And I will have to say that this is one of the most recorded interviews because I think this is like our fourth time of trying to do this and get it right. So, would you please welcome my friend Curtis?
Hey,
Curtis,
Tony. So glad to be on your show today. Thanks so much.
yes, I am so glad that you are here. Thank you
And hey,
for making time again.
absolutely. And I know stuff happens with technology, so that was I know you're a little frustrated with that, but it happens. It's not a big deal. I've been on plenty of podcasts where they forgot to record or whatever the issue was, so you're good.
We had all those issues, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, it is just one of those things that happens. And of course, you know all about this because you are a tech guru guy.
Nerd, yeah, tech nerd would be that.
Tech nerd, right? Well, I am so honored to have you on my show. Curtis lives in the same state that I do. He just happens to live on the other side of the state. And we were honored to be part of Daniel Gomez's Sticker Shock speaking, and that is how I met him in March. I got to hear Curtis's story, and he inspires me, he encourages me, and he is full of wisdom and knowledge, and I also learn from him. So, Curtis,
Appreciate it.
how about we start with what you do on a daily basis?
Oh man, so as far as habits or what my companies that I'm running,
Well, I hope you don't have any bad habits, but sure, you can tell us those too.
I get all kinds of I'll say daily routines, but as far
Right.
as the companies that I'm running, you probably know I had a cosmetic medical laser clinic, a pharmaceutical company, Christian clothing company. I've had quite a few different businesses over
Yeah.
the years that did very well. Uh, but in 2018, I bought Newswire, which is a press release distribution company, and we launched Newswire magazine actually this year, July 4th, at a political rally, and it has just absolutely exploded. So, Newswire magazine, we interview entrepreneurs and leaders who are crushing it in life and business and let them share their insights. And actually, it's pretty cool to have you as a guest on the magazine as well. I was just
Well,
looking at
thank
your
you.
episode, and you've got or your magazine cover.
Uh
You've
huh.
got as of right now, you've got 25,996 people have read your article. So you're crushing it too.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, thank you for inviting me to do that because it's been an honor. And, I isn't that part of what we do for each other and we should do more for one another is to give, to help the other, to serve, to see the success of others.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too. I mean, ours is obviously a paid publication, but you get a lot of times people brand new trying to start out a new blog or a new podcast or whatever, and people will reach out to all these entrepreneurs and influencers and stuff. And it always blows me away when people turn down new folks who are trying to get started with, like with a new podcast. When your podcast could, maybe, maybe I do 100 podcasts this next month, and 95 of them don't do anything. 6 months from now, they're not even recording episodes. But maybe your podcast absolutely blows up, and you've got millions of downloads. And now because I was one of the first guys, that helps with additional traffic
Mhm.
there. So I don't. I try not to turn down anyone ever that's getting something started.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating. Well, and in our speaker, author, motivational, era that we are in, to see others succeed is pretty amazing,
Yeah.
and to be able to do that. And I know your book, because I was trying to get the title because I know it was confusing to me in not in a bad way, but it was like, okay, so what is the title really called? Because there's several ways that you could take it the way that you made the book cover, and I loved it. And so it's how to be successful, think like a leader, or you
Yeah.
could say how to be and think like a successful leader. It
Yeah.
was. I love how you put it all together so it could be several things.
That was so I designed the first book cover for it, and I thought it was really great. but we were spending $10,000 a month advertising on Amazon ads, and just not converting. I was losing close to what I was spending every month, and so I finally had a meeting with Jane, I think it's Jane Ubelmeyer of Bedside Reading, and she does all kinds of big publications, gets them into hotels and different things like that. And so she went through. She said the book is phenomenal. It's very well edited, incredible. Like should be a bestseller. And the cover looks like a third grader designed it in Microsoft Paint. So, well, she asked me first. She said, "Are you looking for, do you want me to, just tell you the good stuff, or do you want the truth? You want my honest opinion?" I'm like, "I'm not going to hurt my feelings. Tell me what, hurt my feelings if you can. Tell me what's wrong with it that I can fix. I'm sick of wasting 10 grand a month on Amazon ads." And so then, she said, so she told me that. She said, so basically what I'm saying is the book is phenomenal. The content's phenomenal. It's very well edited. Your cover sucks. I'm like, okay. So I spent a bunch of money and had, hired, we had over 300 different designers, different graphic designers submit proof of concept. I think 386 separate proof of concepts we got submitted. And that was the winning version.
Yeah.
But sales instantly went through the roof when just by swapping the cover out. So they say don't judge a book by its cover, but everybody does. So if you're publishing a book, get a good cover on it.
That's true. Yes. Well, it's phenomenal.
Appreciate that.
Yes, and it's amazing how you're able to do that because of the fact that you are a survivor of having a brain tumor. In fact, you should not even be here today. So I am so blessed and I am so glad that God said, "No, I'm not done with him yet. He's got much more to do."
Yeah. I mean, we all go through junk though. It's, I had the brain cancer and the diabetes and that kind of junk, but that's kind of one of the things that separates a leader from the average population is leaders look at stuff they've gone through and use as as a reason to keep going. And your average person looks at junk they've gone through, and that's an excuse for them not to proceed.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you're thriving on it because you're very, very successful. And you
Appreciate
do
that.
a lot of things and you help a lot of other people too.
Thank you, Tony.
So where does that come from? Where does your need to survive or your need to thrive? What does that come from?
As far as the need to survive, when I was diagnosed with brain cancer back in 2010, I had, I was very successful. I was sponsoring events at the Denver Coliseum with the Denver Nuggets dancers, the Denver Broncos. I was training the head of the Denver Nuggets cheer team. You know, all kinds of stuff. Sponsored the guy that had the fastest knockout in UFC history. So I was doing very well with the company, but also having 7 to 10 seizures a week, and just had, building successful companies, and then I'm passing out and having a seizure, and had that kind of thing happening over and over again. And when I finally woke up the one morning and could not, half my body didn't work, and I couldn't speak or communicate anymore. And I woke up in the hospital, and the doctor was telling my mom that I only had 60 to 90 days, guaranteed I would not survive more than 90 days with the brain cancer. And everybody was upset about it and stuff. But I got home. Well, I couldn't live alone anymore, so I ended up sleeping moved into a one of my coworkers, or one of my employees' basement. Had, because I wasn't allowed to sleep alone because I was having the seizures and stuff.
Hmm.
But moved into that buddy's basement, and I was laying there the first night, and I was regaining the ability to speak a little bit. I was just still super foggy and stuff, but thinking about the doctor saying absolute guaranteed I will not survive. And people ask about if I was scared, if I was scared to die or whatever. I'm like, I'm really not. If I go outside today and get struck by lightning or get ran over by a car or whatever, but it's really not I know where I'm going, so I'm not worried about it.
Well, that's a very, very positive attitude because even, you can still find believers that still have that fear of death. And I think for some of us, it's because, well, we don't want to go because we're not done here. And then we worry about, well, what's going to happen with our family, or, just the fear of the unknown. But Do you
I'm not
figure?
really afraid of the death. I'm afraid of the how that would happen. So, I do a lot of stupid stuff with, riding. I've got a slower motorcycle now, a big 1700cc monster, but um, for years I rode the crotch rockets and doing just absolutely crazy stuff. 85-mile-an-hour wheelie down the Hampton Frontage Road, and those kind of things.
Mhm.
But um, I was never afraid of dying, but I am afraid of the pain that would happen right before with some of the stupid stuff I do.
Right. Well, because you know what pain is all about. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you had to have surgery, right?
Yeah, I'm going in, getting ready for a ninth surgery on that right leg. So yeah, but again, we all deal with crap that sucks in life. It's just you keep going, or you sit around and feel sorry for yourself that you've got some
Right.
struggles.
So do you want to tell the story about your leg and why you have to have surgery?
Uh, that one's just there's just accidents I had. Maybe it is kind of interesting. It's got a bit of stuff about the speaking in there. Um, so I was volunteering at a church years ago. Took a bunch of kids, like 8-year-old kids, out ice skating, and we're all at the skating rink. And I was standing there talking to one of the other adults, and this 8-year-old kid, stocky little guy, but he took off across and he was going to tackle the big guy. I was bodybuilding and the big strong guy, and so he come across the skating rink, took off, just full blast, and as I was standing there, he was going to tackle me. So he hit me in the leg with his little shoulder, right between my knee and the ankle there, and just broke that leg, folded it right up against the side of my knee. Had the shoe up against the side of my knee, and so I was scheduled to speak at Caesar's Palace up in Las Vegas, and this has been scheduled like over a year in advance. So there is no way that I'm going to miss this. And I get there, and the doctor's saying, okay, we've got to have, there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to be on a plane. You're going to be in a wheelchair for however long. And said I couldn't travel, couldn't go by car. I said, I am going to be at this event. I'm not canceling on this event host that booked me out a year ago. Um, so we're going to make this work. But he said, well, the only option is to do surgery and put a rod inside the leg, put a rod inside the bone. I'm like, okay, cool. So let's do the rod. No big deal. But had a ton of problems with the rod where not a real good surgeon. He'd left some extra parts in there, had a ton of scar tissue and stuff. So my leg is getting black. My foot had been getting black after this speaking event, and got to where they were talking about scheduling for an amputation because the lack of blood flow. And so I started going to just doing whatever I could to try to get the blood flowing again. Bought this old mountain bike just so I could try to get strong enough to pedal, make a full lap, full loop on the sidewalk there. And as that was taking off and I was getting better and better, pretty soon I got to where leg was doing pretty good again, still hurting, but I had done 121 mountain bike trips with, top level mountain bike guys. And on my 121st ride of the year, I dropped off of a rock ledge on Eagles Rim, and broke that, took that rod, bent the leg in a J shape, drove the rod up through my knee, up through the tibial plateau, out the side, broke it in 19 places, and so now I'm 8 surgeries in, going for a ninth one on that, where the bone punctured the muscle, and kind of a gross thing there, but
You are one tough guy. That's all I can say.
I did not choose to do that. That was not a decision because
No,
I was tough. Just because I
no,
was.
but just to even take it all and just to survive and thrive through it. And, I've been places with you and I see how you walk and stuff. And, you just don't know. And you're still working out and enjoying life. And you're an amazement. You truly, truly
Appreciate this,
are.
Johnny. Thank you.
Well, yeah. And I know that, life brings us hard things that we have to go through, but we can't we can wear a smile through it, but we don't always. Life throws us a lot of curves, doesn't it?
Yeah. But again, it's either get past it and figure out how to keep going, or you don't. But sitting around and feeling sorry for yourself and not doing anything is just waste your life. So
It's true. Yeah, it does. Well, and you're a model of that. You don't, because you've owned so many companies and you've written books, and you just keep going. Now you're out on your motorcycle. You're out loving life, picking up the girlfriend, um, just doing it, camping. You're doing a lot of stuff. So have you always been this way, or were there times where you felt defeated and beat down?
I mean, we all get like that where you just any entrepreneur that's ever said that they go 24/7, they're always grinding, always being always successful, always focusing on the next goal. They're not telling the truth, or they've got some kind of a mental defect that doesn't allow them to feel sadness, whatever. But we were made. I mean, God created us to have. If you're feeling uncomfortable in a situation, if you're feeling maybe you're at a job and you're just going, this sucks. I don't like my job. I'm not happy. I don't enjoy this. I'm not doing anything to help anybody. I'm just showing up, collecting the check. I hate my life. I'm depressed. I'm sad. He does that. So I mean, that's a natural feeling that we should be able to feel, because it motivates us to get out and go help people, go do something else. Maybe find a better job. Maybe go volunteer. Maybe go, donate your time at a soup kitchen, do something. But I think those feelings of whether it's sadness or stress or whatever it is are there to help us improve. And then also, it's okay. I figured this out later in life, but it's okay if you've just been crushing, everything's going good, and you just feel like crap one day, and you're going, I don't feel good. I'm not happy. I got no energy. Or maybe maybe you worked 100 hours last week, 120 hours last week. I guess not 112 was the higher amount of work that I've done weekly, but it's okay. You know what? I am sleeping for 20 hours today. I've got to recharge. And
Right.
so I mean, I think it's natural to have some down days, but you just have to figure out how to keep going through it and take a break when you need to.
Yeah, because we sure can't run out there on empty. Nor are we able to help anyone else or fill anyone else up when we're empty either.
Yeah.
So that self-care is so very, very important. And we can only push our bodies so far, right?
Yeah.
Because if we keep pushing them, they're going to collapse on us.
Hey,
So
I just
yeah.
thought I'd mention to you also. So I've got three separate screens here in the studio, the monitor up above me, and then the three screens here. But I've
Uh-huh.
got your article on Newswire magazine pulled up, and I
Uh-huh.
just looked at the page again. You've got 26,600 or 26,016 readers. So you broke 26,000 readers now total.
Oh my gosh.
So I
Yeah, because
think you
it,
were,
it just goes everywhere, doesn't it?
yeah, I mean, the distribution has been absolutely crazy. We've had people get up to 8,000 readers on their article in a single day. So kind of
Wow.
a cool. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
one of our very top articles, though. We've had.
Well, it just shows that, there's nothing wrong with taking a little bit, like you might want to say, a chance, or just stepping out there and letting God do what God does.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
Now that's a
amazing.
good thing. Not to get off track here, but on the personal branding side, that is an
Hmm.
incredible thing that I've been seeing you do. Where I'm teaching a class. I just got done teaching another class at the local library for a bunch of
Uh-huh.
entrepreneurs and business owners, called Mastering Social Media. But what I'm actually talking about is mastering personal branding. So it's not just social media. I'm talking about, tell people get up, go speak, take every opportunity you can to, volunteer, get out there, podcasts, blogs, magazines, especially if you've got the budget, like you were featured in Newswire magazine, um, getting features on those kind of places. And you've had, what I say, 26,000 people that may or may not have ever heard of you have read about you on Newswire magazine now. So that's, if you've got the budget, some of these higher end, I mean, some of the larger magazines are between $15,000 to $35,000 to be featured in an editorial. But if you've got the budget, I mean, that's an incredible thing to do. Build that brand and make sure people know
Right.
you. But you've done a great job of that on a pretty for under a couple $1,000s on Newswire, that's
Right.
you've got some pretty insane
That's
readership on that.
pretty awesome. Well, and I think that the magazine has a pretty awesome publisher, editor, and owner, and yeah. So he likes he likes taking his chances on people too, and you know, it also helps you. So it gets you recognized too,
Yep.
and I think that is awesome because that's where it's at. You're an amazing owner and publisher, editor. So,
I actually do have a contributing editor on staff, so I can't
oh,
take responsible for all
you
the
can't take
or
you can't take
responsibility for all it.
responsibility.
Yeah, I've got a developer on staff that's worked for me since 2006 or eight. The guy's
Wow.
just an absolute rock star of a developer. So he's been on salary for years and years. And but yeah, I would love to take credit for all this, but no, I've got a pretty good team of folks that are behind Newswire magazine.
Well, and that helps us all, doesn't it? And to give God the credit for what He's doing in our lives,
Yep.
because it's an amazing journey, that's for sure. You know, we come with all these broken pieces, and all we can do is give them to Him and say, here they are, God. You
Yeah.
know, we know you're gonna put it all back together. And when it's back together, it's gonna be an awful strong picture or an awful big puzzle or however you look at it. I look at it as he has shown me one time about a stained glass window. And that is what he is doing with my life. And he told me that the lead that he puts in between the glasses is going to be the strongest ever. And I will never be broken again. So
I love that analogy.
yeah, that's what I love. Yeah, he showed me all these beautiful pieces and how thick the glass was and how thick the lead is and just this and that's what he's doing. He's just creating this beautiful stained glass window and I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about your broken pieces if you don't mind.
Oh,
Since this
that's
is 12 steps to healing.
yeah. I try to. I typically redirect the questions away from people ask about the child abuse or the brain cancer or the different things, and I normally try to kind of redirect that towards here's what to here's how to progress through that kind of stuff. But for your audience that doesn't know me or hasn't heard me speak on stage and stuff, if you've gone through abuse or you know, like I said, we all go through junk. It's just a matter of whether you let that be your identity or not. But one thing that really affected me as a kid, I grew up in a pretty rough. Say my dad was not a real good dude. Um, a big guy and aggressive and just not a great father. Let's say. Um, so one of the things that I'll tell once in a while, I shared this at Sticker Shock, was a time where it'd been hours and hours. I'd been getting yelled at and beat on, and the night before I'd been in trouble. So again, hours of being yelled at and whipped on and stuff, and then had to stand at the foot of my dad's bed while he slept that night. And this wasn't an unusual thing. So he'd go to sleep, and I'd have to stand there and wait as he slept. So for a kid, that was a big thing too. Just kind of that mental breaking you down.
Right.
Um, and I'm standing there, and that you don't fall asleep. So it's not like you're standing there just relaxing. I'm standing there. You don't make a noise. You don't don't definitely don't nod off. Don't tip over or something, because it was going to be a whole other thing again. And so as I'm standing there, I woke up again the next morning. He's got me out pushing telephone poles, a stack of telephone poles that he'd bought, and rolling them up the hill, and then rolling them back down the hill, rolling them up the hill, and then dig a hole that was deeper than your head. And all the time, as he's telling me, your waste of skin, your waste of oxygen, and so I'm hearing this, and it'd been hours and hours, and he'd tell me, your mom should have had an abortion, done the world a favor, those kind of things. So now as I'm digging this hole that's deeper than my head, I'm at the bottom of it tossing dirt out. And I'm thinking, okay, is he, am I getting buried here, or, what's the reason for the hole? So then I, get that done, climb out of the hole, and now it's time. As you dig another hole and fill that hole in with the first hole's dirt. Then you dig another hole and fill that hole in. So just to absolutely wear you down, make sure you've got kind of not only just the physical, but breaking your spirit. And so this has been going on. It's a couple days in, and I'm sitting on the bathroom floor. Again, it had been backhanded me and stuff, and backhanded me down on the bathroom floor. And so I'm sitting there crying. I'm a young guy, high school age, but and he hands me a loaded 357 pistol, spins a revolver, slaps it closed, hands it to me, and told me to do the world a favor after saying you're a waste of oxygen, you're a waste of skin, those kind of things. And so that's one of the things I'll share sometimes, not for, I'm not looking for people to feel sorry for me, but it's a thing to remember that everybody's gone through junk, whether it was, there are millions of kids who were, maybe you were beat on, maybe you were raped, or maybe you were molested as a kid, or maybe, there's always junk that we're dealing with. But if you sit around and let that continue to define you, where, okay, I'm the kid that was beat when I grew up, or those kind of things, then pretty soon, if that's my internal focus, I will more than likely become a wife beater, become an abusive guy, because that's my focus. I'm focusing on the negative thing. But I typically try to tell people when they get me to try to talk about those issues, going, your past does not define you.
No.
I mean, if you let it do it, it does. But that also means if you become a loser because of your past, that's because you're a loser, not because you've got an excuse. It's because you blame that and you were too weak to make the change.
Yes, I agree.
I
Well,
don't know.
and
I
in
try to always redirect it towards the positive instead of
right. Well,
good.
and that's my next question is, because I know that you have a champion. I know that you have a cheerleader. I know that you have someone that completely believes in you, and they wouldn't let you stay the way that you were. And I know that this woman means an awful lot to you. And I
Yeah, my
believe,
mom is awesome.
yeah, I knew
Hmm.
you were gonna- and I believe her name is Connie.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
my mom's awesome. I didn't as a kid, and that's part of the story that I it gets too long to tell if you tell everything. But my
right.
mom had taken us when I was 12 years old, had moved out. She got the courage to leave, and then the judge, my dad had a crooked judge, and the sheriff, the Mesa County sheriff, the Moffat County sheriff, was his next door neighbor, and he would take Clyde on these mountain lion hunting trips, free trips. So now who's the guy gonna testify for? It's gonna be Jim, who is hooking him up. So um, but my mom did leave when we were kids. We just got pulled back, court order. We ran away, crawling through the frozen river in the winter. Got the police come with dogs and brought us back, and kind of a crazy situation like that. But almost something that you would be, if you're reading a story about it, going, you almost wouldn't believe that it was true. The kind of things that I would not have believed. Some of the people that I've listened to, some of the abuse stuff that I've heard over the
Hmm.
years, when if I hadn't gone through the same kind of crooked, just crazy stuff where you tell a teacher about it, the teacher reports it, police department takes you in, the local cops come in, Clyde talks to you, and you understand this did not happen. I'm so sorry I lied about this, and they send you back home with the abuser. So those are kind of things where it really helped me relate. I obviously wouldn't want to go through it again, but it's helped me so much to relate to people, where to understand how people can have this, terrible sense of self-worth, or the different issues that we deal with because of, whether it was childhood issues, maybe you had a husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other that was terrible to you. But that kind of stuff affects people, and so it was a blessing to go through that, to be able to make me more relatable to other people when
Yeah.
where I can understand where they're coming from, and not just think, oh, you know that's a that's kind of a far out there story or whatever. I'm going, hey, I understood. I've gone through some of that, and I understand. I don't tell people a lot of this stuff because it would sound like they're going, oh, this guy's just trying to get podcast listeners. you know?
Wrong. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. It. Yeah. Just amazing. Well, Curtis, we're about out of time, but I am going to let you talk to those because there are many that listen to us, and they're going through stuff that is just so wrong, and it's heartbreaking. So, what would you say to those that are going through something?
So I got two different things, and you might maybe grab a pencil and paper if you're. I'm not trying to pump myself up here, but these are things that can really help you if you are dealing with it with poor self worth, or maybe just need to get to that next level of personal development performance. So the first thing, if you're feeling bad about yourself, is you were created in the image of God that created the entire universe. He created you in his image, not a tree, not a frog, not a camel. I mean, he created you. So by default, you're amazing. You're created after God. So I don't know if you're dealing with that sense of self worth or that sense of like wondering if you've got any value in the world. You're created directly by God, and then He sent His Son to die on the cross for your sins. So, I mean, that's a absolutely mind blowing to me that I would be important enough that God would send His Son, who is also Himself, that He would send Jesus to die on the cross for my sins. But just understand, you're not the you're not the abused, neglected, abandoned, whatever person that you see in the mirror. You're meant for greatness. So act like it and start doing great things. And then the second is this is a prayer that I pray on a daily basis. I'll do a little bit different version of it each time. But the prayer of Jabez, there's a good story about that in the Old Testament. Um,
Yes.
he's got it's about a one. I think he's got about a paragraph total in the Old Testament.
Hmm.
But Jabez was named. His name meant pain or suffering. So his mom named him Pain as a kid. And in the Old Testament, that was it used to be your name became your destiny. Your destiny. So if you were named Pain, you're probably gonna have a pretty terrible life because nobody wants to be around a guy named Pain or Suffering. Um, but he prayed a prayer that I really like, and I kind of modified it myself. So my prayer is, uh, Lord, please bless me greatly. Please expand my territory in Your name. Meaning everything that I work on, please make it just explode, and help me glorify You through it. So bless me greatly, expand my territory, keep me from evil, and protect me from pain. And my life has
Yeah,
changed significantly
it
since I
does.
started praying that, but not as a mantra that I'm just repeating the words. Each time I'll pray it a little bit differently, and as I'm talking about, Lord, please bless me greatly. Thank You so much for the blessings You're already giving me. So it's kind of a good starting point to remember those four things: bless me greatly, expand my territory, keep me from evil, and protect me from pain.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
prayer that I absolutely love, and I would recommend you pray that as well, and grab the book. There's a book called the Prayer of Jabez that would be a good book if you haven't read it. Nice.
Yes.
Tony's holding the
Daily,
copy right
right?
now.
Yes. We're gonna also give a plug in there for David. I think it's Wilkinson, because he was the one that wrote that, and it is an amazing book. And I too say that prayer every day, and I say it over my family, and I say it over my internet family, my speaking family, you know, the recovery family. So yes.
Love that.
Curtis, thank you so much for honoring me with this interview. You're just amazing. And thank you for being such a good sport and doing it again and again and again. But we got it right this time. So thank you so very much.
Hopefully, we clicked the record button this time, right?
Yes, we did.
It's been great being on your show again, and I'm always glad to chat with you, Tony.
Yes. Thank you, Curtis.
Hey, also, if you guys are not connected with me online yet, you can either Google M. Period Curtis McCoy or go to mcurtismccoy.com. Every social media platform, I've got a platform, I've got a page on. So whether it's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, M. Curtis McCoy is where you can find me. I would love if you send me a message, follow, like some posts. I'll be sure to follow you back. And I always love connecting with new folks and hearing your stories as well. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Curtis.